Howdy again, it's Tubalcain, and this is episode number 18 of my This and That series, so welcome. You know, several months ago, Kevin sent me one of these wash bottles here to use for oil or whatever, and then all of a sudden I get another box from Amazon.com, and there's 5 more of these, and he said, you know, you need these on every machine, so, and I got a lot of machines, so I don't think I'll put cutting oil in every one. But I'll find some use for them. And there's 2 different sizes now, so here's a slightly smaller one. And these are called wash bottles, so thanks again, Kevin. And Zimmerman, a man by the name of Fred Zimmerman, just yesterday sent me this 42nd edition here of How to Run a Lathe. I did have that book along with some of the other editions, but the one I had has just a terrible cover. And so here's a nice copy of South Bend's How to Run a Lathe from the year 1942. The war had just started. Thank you, Fred. Always handy to have more than one copy of that. All right, let's move on. Several months ago, I received a gift from Chris Minatelli, and what it is a plunger that he had made for an Atlas lathe quick change gearbox. He did a beautiful job on it, so it was a replacement for one of his lathes that had a broken one or whatever, and so he made an extra one and gave it to me, so I thought that was pretty awesome. I don't need to replace any of these at this time, but he also did a nice job with a CAD drawing on that, so let me show that to you. And thank you very much, Chris. And here's the drawing that Chris did. It's several pages of dimensioned drawings. Thank you. I was recently in Bloomington, Illinois visiting a buddy, and I saw a garage sale sign. I know some of you guys don't want to see this, but there for $1 was this nice Lennox high tension hacksaw. I believe I have one exactly like that, but if you haven't used a high tension hacksaw, you know, you haven't lived. So, and these aren't cheap. This is probably about 25 bucks, so I'll put a brand new red stripe blade in there, and I'm ready to go. And at the same sale for $1, there was a toolbox laying there with anything in there was $1. Well, these are the only things I saw that were any good. But here's a rigid number 5 strap wrench, and you saw me struggle in a recent video on removing a chuck from a lathe, and I had the next size smaller rigid strap wrench, and it didn't have quite enough wrap. The strap was too long, so now I'm blessed with one of these, and that's 18 inches long, and it's made of aluminum, and you know, rigid is the best. And my gosh, still made in the USA. Gotta love that. And then at another sale just down the street from my house, I bought this for $5 the other day. A Craftsman. Now I planned on putting a new chuck on. I really don't like those 5-cent chucks, but this is the industrial grade. And you know, normally I try everything out at a garage sale before I take it home, because they always got plugs, wall plugs there. So I brought it home. I forgot to. I bring it home, and sure enough, it works fine until I put it in reverse, and there is no reverse on it, which kind of surprises me because it looks like it's lightly used, but I suppose this was something that Sears made when Roebuck wasn't looking. About 1 year ago, I showed you a video, and I talked about one Mr. Craig Stevens out in California who built a beautiful cordless engine. Well, since then, he has built another engine, and I want you to take a look at this video if you can. And it's about a 10-minute video, and remember, he was one of my dad's students, and he built this fabulous. There's Craig, and I've never met him except over the internet, even though he's from my hometown. And there's the castings to start with, and if you continue watching the video, you will get to see the engine running. So be sure and do that. Let's see if I can. So there's the title. do a search for Gothic beam engine running by Craig Stevens and leave some nice comments for him if you would. About 1 month ago, a viewer sent me this picture out of the clear blue sky, and he said he had visited the LS Starrett Company in Athol, Massachusetts, and they gave him quite a tour of the factory. And in the waiting room, or there's a little museum there in the entry, and he said that this is Leroy Starrett's original wooden toolbox. And I thought, well, that's pretty neat. And there, it looks like there's a patent model up there of something. But remember, Leroy Starrett invented the original combination square. I would love to visit that factory. Not too long ago, I did a video under my What Makes It Work series, and it was about how a speedometer worked. And well, nobody watched that video anyway, but there was some talk about what kind of car this Autolite speedometer came out of, because I was told it was a Ford, and it's not. Several people wrote in and said that it is a 55 or 56 Dodge Coronet. So that was before Autolite became a division of Ford Motor Company. So some of you may be interested in that, although that's just trivia, I guess. But my buddy Clyde recently moved to a retirement community here, just a block from me, so now he's real close. I can walk over there and talk to him. But he had to clean his house out, and he had a couple guns, and he said, could you use this? Well, heck yes, I can use it. This is a Model 90 Winchester pump 22 long rifle, and it's in pretty good shape. There's some rust right near the muzzle here, which I need to clean up. I haven't shot it yet. But when I was a boy, both my brother and I had these little, I call them gallery rifles. They're just wonderful. Mine shot shorts, longs, and long rifles, but and you can quickly break them down. And we used to put them in our saddlebags and on our bicycles. Needs a good cleaning. The barrel still has nice bluing on it. So my buddy Clyde, he doesn't even remember where he got it, but he thinks his dad gave it to him when he was a teenager. Then his father died shortly after that. But I also own one just like this. A little rust down here and a cobweb. Made by Rossi in South America. I've had it for 25 years. I tried to sell it one time and I couldn't hardly give it away, but now I got the genuine Winchester again. And my buddy Mark Lane had, it seemed like all my friends had these when we were kids, and if you went to a carnival, you know, you didn't shoot laser beams, you could shoot real 22s if you could afford it, but this is what they always had there at the galleries. Anyway, my buddy Mark Lane had one of these, and it had some kind of little problem with it. I don't know what it was, but if you would fill the magazine, tubular magazine, and then hold the trigger and pump it repeatedly, you didn't have to pull the trigger each time, so it was almost like a semi-automatic. And we all loved shooting that gun. I don't know what was the matter with it, but I'm glad there was something wrong with it, because I do remember that. There's a screw missing right there. Nice little gun. I hope that all of you out there like guns. You know what, I guess I'm not quite done talking about this gun. Let me show you quickly how it breaks down. The one I had a shorter barrel, and somebody had carved their name in the stock. But that quickly it would break down, and mine was a little shorter, perhaps this length, and that would fit in my suitcase when I went places. So I thought that was so awesome. But let me tell you a little story about that Winchester. The year would have been about 1956, and my brother and I and a neighbor and maybe one other kid are up in my bedroom, and I had several guns there. We were, what, 13 years old or something like this, and of course I always kept my guns unloaded. But Burl, the neighbor, picks up this little Winchester, cocks it, pulls the trigger, bang! Off it goes. How that bullet ever got in there, I don't know. It just missed my leg, went into the wall, and quickly we went down to the basement, got some patching plaster, patched that up, and there was some paint down there left from the paint job. Painted that up, although it stood out like a sore thumb, and boy, I'm glad my dad didn't find out about that. Well, 6 months later, my dad's in the closet, and we never even thought of going into the closet, but the exit wound through the genuine plaster, not wallboard, was huge. And the bullet, the spent bullet, laid there up against a metal shelf that was just laying in storage in the closet. And so when my dad found that big hole and then that spent bullet, boy, did he go off worse than the gun. And he was correct in doing so. So always check, make sure your guns are not loaded. How that bullet ever got in there, I don't know. And never pull the trigger either. Enough of that. I got one more thing to show you, an unboxing, so stand by for that clip, which was narrated by me when I opened the box up several weeks ago. Thanks for watching. I was gone for several days, and when I came back home I found this on the front porch, and I don't know what it is, so we'll have an unboxing. I haven't had one in quite a while. And this came from Flame Enterprises in Chatsworth, California. And let's see what's inside. And I thank you in advance here, Flame Enterprises. Let's see what we got. A lot of styrofoam. Okay, I got some of those peanuts out of the way, and let's see what we got here. Well, there's a bag. We're going to have to unbag that on the bench. Can't tell what it is. Got all kinds of boxes here. Here's a box, unlabeled, so let's get that over on the bench. Let me get all these items out here on the bench, and then I can open them up and see what we got. But it's looking interesting. I don't know if you could tell, but that was quite a large box, and it was quite heavy. And there are the items that were in the box, and I did find a letter in there, and I'm going to read a portion of it to you. But the man by the name of Michael wishes to remain anonymous, but you already saw the name of the company, Flame Enterprises, and he said that it wasn't necessary to mention him, but I already did. So thank you very much, Michael. I'm going to go through this stuff now, but he just mentions that he said, find a small token of my appreciation for your instructive videos for the home shop machinist and mechanical historian, and he hopes that I can find a use for some of these items and some of these parts. So I will open these up off camera because it's going to take quite a while, and lay them out, and let's see what we got. But it looks like some pretty neat stuff. Wow, this was a real bonanza. Here's about a 10-inch fan with a motor, 110 volt. That was what was in that box. And Michael evidently had a shrink wrapper or a sealer, because everything is in a bag sealed. It's just beautifully packed. But here are 2 bars of solder. They're so shiny and silver, and it's called Gardner solder, a pure alloy, but SN is tin. 63, I don't know if that means 63% tin or what, but that's some nice solder, and there's 2 bars of that. I think these are splicers, like to splice into a trailer for trailer lights, and we got a lot of electrical items here, like this rotary switch, and here's a whole box of spark plug ends, I think, and those will be good for my antique engines. Here's a bag so full of stuff, including shrink wrap and whatnot. I'm not going to be able to show you all of that, and I spent 15 minutes so far unpacking here. Here's a bunch of handles, probably for a cabinet. Some of this I didn't unpack. A syringe, here's another switch, rotary, I guess. A lot of fasteners here, pop rivets, regular rivets, backing plates, lock washers, little nylon fittings of some kind, and all of these terminals, which I will love. Some thumb screws. There's a switch with a key. I don't know what those are. Micro switches. There's another switch with a long stem on it. 2 poles. And here's a couple of 3-position toggle switches. micro switches, tiny little bearings, needle bearings, some more switches, connectors, wire connectors here, some Dow Corning adhesive sealant. Here's a little, I've never seen one of these, it's like it's a hone is what it is, called a fine sander, but it's a hone, or a grinding, like a grinding stick. Not sure. Rivets. Here's a beautiful thing, a furnace drum switch, perfect for a lathe, brand new. Made in Batavia, Illinois, and that is where I picked up that little lathe that followed me home, if you recall. It's very hard to find good alligator clips. These are made in America, and there's 2 boxes of them. As you know, the kind that you buy at the junk store, about worthless. These are really nice ones. I could not keep these at school. The kids stole them for roach clips. And at that time, I didn't even know what a roach clip was. Here's a nut. Latch down a submarine hatch or something, undrilled, untapped. That's about the largest micro switch I've ever seen. Made in Freeport, my wife's hometown. That looks like it's off of a conveyor belt. There's a couple of these, they look like hockey pucks, but maybe they are simply paperweights, I'm not sure. A couple of olive drab knobs, threaded. Looks like 3/8. And here's some very long wire ties, which will be most useful. You know what, I did open that other bag, and real quickly in there is, and this is pretty exciting, that's a relay of some kind, possibly a solenoid, and all kinds of switches here. Many of them are micro switch brand, including this. Probably very special purpose. I'm not sure what that is. There's a toggle switch. Micro switch of some kind. Here's a whole bag of micro switches. I think these are glue sticks. I'm not really sure. I'll heat one up. Maybe it's taffy. And again, there's the shrink tubing in various sizes. Very useful items. Some things I do not know what they are. Others I will figure out, and I'll find a use for a lot of this stuff. Not all of it, I'm sure. Thank you, Michael, ever so much.